Who's better than us? Nobody!
We want to focus on the things that have made us good all year long. An intensity that they can't match. And the other thing is the ultimate disrespect is when somebody takes what's yours. And this is our game, so that makes it personal. Dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3, dominate!
I need 60 minutes. 60 minutes of me! You got it. 60 minutes, no business, no mercy! Nothing but stop bubble! You got me! We're gonna ring the bell! We're gonna ring that championship bell! Ding, motherfucking dog!
Ball is on Mitch Jeter's leg. Good snap, good hold, kick on its way, and the kick is good! Yes! Mitch Jeter, with 7 seconds left, gives the Irish a lead, 27-24. Notre Dame is on the precipice.
Notre Dame has won the Orange Bowl. 3rd and 16, Mahomes rolling out. Looking, firing, intercepted, picked up by Cooper DeJean, gets a block, DeJean is in, touchdown!
The Philadelphia Eagles have won Super Bowl 59. They have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
You are looking live.
Hello, everyone. You are looking live, and we are back again this week. It is August the 5th, 2025. We're glad to be back with you, and just a few weeks away from the return of our live season. We will be back for another year beginning. Now, I know I said August the 19th the last time that we were on the air. I lied. That's on me. That's my bad. I won't even be in the state that my studio's in that day. So we will be, our new season will be starting on August the 26th with our college football preview. We will have content next week and the following as well to get you through each week leading up to the new season. So make sure you are subscribed and following along with us at Huddle Up Podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Twitter. We are on Instagram at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. We are on Twitch at Huddle Up Inc. So make sure you grab that and head over there and hit subscribe. You can grab our merchandise over on the T Public store. You have a bunch of options over there. Some new ones will be added as we gear up towards the season, so certainly would appreciate you supporting and buying some of the merch there from us as well. We would appreciate that. So lighter crew here this time around. Lord only knows where some of the folks are, but we are here nonetheless. It is me and Sean, and there hasn't been a lot of times on this show where it's just been the two brothers, but we are here and we're gonna do our best. Sean, how you doing?
Oh, we're getting through, man. We're getting closer and closer. First preseason game in the books, so we are officially in a world with football every week, though it not be the truest sense of the word, but it is here nonetheless. It is something to watch. It is something to talk about. And certainly that's why we're here today.
It's football nonetheless. Full slate of preseason beginning this week as we had the Hall of Fame game last week. College camps back up and running. So we're full steam ahead. College games just a couple of weeks away as we sit here tonight and we are live. We had a little bit of breaking news. I was getting ready to hit the button here, getting ready to go on the air. If the soundboard wants to cooperate. There it is. So the Los Angeles Chargers have welcomed back Keenan Allen to the team, signing the veteran wide receiver. Spent most of his career there. Spent half of the time there injured, but they bring him back after I think it was just 1 year away. So the Chargers bringing back another weapon for Justin Herbert, which is an appropriate thing for the topic this evening, which is the top quarterbacks as we head into the 2025-2026 season. We will count down officially the top half, the top 16. If we need to kind of touch on where we have some other folks, we can do that, time depending. Certainly probably won't be as long of an episode since we only have 2 loudmouth idiots as opposed to 5 or 6. But we will press on. Next week, again, we will not be live the next 2 weeks, but we will have content hitting the feeds. Next week, we will have the Mount Rushmore of current NFL uniforms. So get ready to tune in for that one. And then the following week, the week of the 19th, if you could have change one play in your favorite team's history, which would it be? We'll cover the big 4 sports as well as college football. So I'm fairly certain you and I might have the same answer for Notre Dame, but we'll address that in 2 weeks. But
we shall see.
We will see nonetheless. So Sean, I do have Mike's list. Mike is away. He is working this evening, so will not be able to join us live. So I do have his list. Why don't we start like 16 to 11? So everything just outside of the top 10. We can start there. I will start with Mike's. He has Bo Nix of the Broncos at 16, Kyler Murray of the Cardinals at 15, Jordan Love with the Packers at 14. He has Jared Goff, Detroit at 13, Cowboys Dak Prescott at 12, Baker Mayfield of the Buccaneers at 11. That is Mike. For me, I have Kyler Murray with the Cardinals at 16. I have Tua at 15 with the Dolphins. Trevor Lawrence, Jaguars at 14. Jordan Love with the Packers, of course, at 13. Baker Mayfield, Buccaneers, 12. And Dak Prescott with the Cowboys just outside the top 10 at number 11. So, Sean, how do you have 16 through 11 shaking out?
Yeah, I had a list pretty assembled, and then I realized I had a couple guys where I didn't want them and started rearranging, and somehow Kyler wound up in your guys. Kyler just out on mine, found at 17.
Okay.
Kyler and Purdy, my 2 that didn't get in. And then I have 16. I have Tua in Miami. I got Tua, okay. Tagliavoa as my 16th. Dak Prescott sitting at 15. Sam Darnold at 14. Ooh. Jordan Love 13. 12, Baker Mayfield. Oh no, wait, Kyler gets in. Can we restart? I have Tua on here twice.
Oh yeah.
I had a gap where I had crossed him out and I never moved my numbers down. So I have, I guess, 9. That puts Stroud there, which keeps 11. That puts him 12. That puts him 13. 14, 15. So Kyler Murray of the Cardinals is sitting at 16. Tua matching you at 15. Dak Prescott at 14. Sam Darnold then at 13. Puts Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers at 12. Baker Mayfield at 11.
All right,
and
so
I guess that's what you wanted, right?
Yeah,
you have 16 through 11. Baker Mayfield just out.
Just out of the top 10. Okay.
As I predicted I was talking to a fella down here who's like, how do you know that Baker Mayfield's not a top 10 quarterback? You honestly, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to tell you that. He's like, why not? And I was like, well, because there's 10 guys better than him. I don't know. That seems like a pretty easy question to answer there, but he actually ended up higher than I thought he would. And to be honest, that 11 through 16, what a mess that was to put together. And to be honest, if you drop it down to 18 or 19, there's a lot of guys I don't know what order to put those ones in.
Well, and I think that's kind of the thing, and we've touched on it in recent seasons with when we build our like weekly power rankings. It's like, okay, well, we know who like 1 through 3 are. We know who the teams from like 4 to 7 or 8 are, and then we know there's like a couple of guys who are in this 8 to 12, and what teams are going to step up in this week, and who's going to drop out next week. Quarterbacks is kind of in that same boat. Like, I knew who my top 4 were. I knew who like the next batch of, I think it was like 3, and then from like 7 through 11 or 12. I felt very similar about. And then, like once you get outside of like 11, 12, 13, again, there's that same grouping. I know you touched on who was just outside of your top 16. I had Bo Nix at 18, Brock Purdy at 17. So Brock just missed out on mine.
17, 18. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, to be honest, I would say that, even I say outside the top 10, I would say when I fell below like 7.
Yeah.
My list started just becoming jumbled with guys that just aren't quite good enough to be at the top, and it was very hard to do. Like, I'm just looking now, and I was like, I have Drake May way lower than I actually think he is, but it's too hard to adjust my list now. Like, I feel, in my opinion, Drake May's probably somewhere in this near miss. Like, I guess, I would probably put him above there, so I'm just going to replace him. So I would say I have like Purdy at 17, and then it's like, I don't know, 18, 19, 20 would then be like Nix, Trevor Lawrence, and probably Geno Smith. And I feel like that's kind of where we're at when you hit 20. Like, and that's not even, like let's just say 30 teams, not 32. You're still in the top 2/3.
Yeah, 2/3.
You know what I mean? And you're already at guys that, there's a lot of people that would bash me for having Geno Smith at 20 or having, but, below that, what are you going to have? Like a couple of rookies that could be.
Right.
You're going to have your Aaron Rodgers and your Russell Wilsons that have been, like and Rodgers, looking at stats, I don't know what, like, that win. Ranking teams, at least teams I can go as a group project,
Right.
But as a play, like different offenses, different coordinators, different systems, different situations, it's just so much that it's like you get into a battle with yourself, and you're like, well, I can't believe that Geno Smith is this low. He was like in the top 10 in pass yards, or Aaron Rodgers, who somehow threw 30 touchdowns.
Right.
How did that? It becomes a battle, but I think our list seemed to be, for the two of us and at least the top 16, fairly close. There's probably a few that I would get yelled at there in my 11 through 16 if Mike was with us here. But
yeah, your internet was chopping up just a little bit, but you're back and clear.
Okay,
and so I guess kind of one of the questions before we started to kind of looking into the top 10s and some of the guys that you had in your even 16 through 10, 16 through 11 that I didn't, and vice versa. When you're looking and you're making this, like, are you weighing what they did last year heavier? Are you thinking about the landscape of the team this year? Are you thinking a lot about the landscape around them? Like, because I know for me, like, I tried to kind of create a balance of both, because if you know me, you listen to this show more than 5 minutes at any point through over the last, 8 or 9 years that we've been doing this show, preseason rankings, this sort of thing. Like, I think it's a fun exercise, especially with like players, but like this week in college football, we're seeing the preseason rankings come out, and already I'm going, how the hell is this team so high? Why is Alabama at 10? Why the hell is Joel Klatt have Penn State at number 1? Like, what the hell are we doing? And because it's kind of sets up this weird false sense of reality for what teams are and aren't going to be this upcoming year. But I've tried to balance what a player did in previous years, what they're going to do this year, the kind of new landscape that they have. Like Trevor Lawrence, some people may argue, Some people may argue you have him too low if you have him outside. Some people may argue I have him too high at 14.
Right.
But when I'm looking
Trevor
at the
Lawrence
landscape,
was an
it's
anomaly.
another year baked into that team, baked into that franchise. You now have Travis Hunter. You've added a couple of weapons. Like, it's kind of the make it or break it year in a way for Trevor Lawrence. So I'm like, maybe he thrives on that pressure. So that's why I kind of sneaked him in when a guy like Bo Nix, maybe it's a sophomore slump. Aaron Rodgers
But then still going to have people that are, if they're trying to rank quarterbacks, even if he starts putting up numbers in Jacksonville, you're going to have people that are going to say, well, you put all those weapons around him, of course he's going to put up numbers. And you're going to have, like, he's going to do it before. He couldn't stay healthy before. It took a healthy offensive line. I'm like, well, there's a lot of guys you could say that for.
Sure.
And it's like you were saying, I try to do like a hybrid of everything.
Okay.
I mean, recent stats, like I went back the last 2 years on some guy, because I start to get a feel for it. I go for like, well, let's look at yards last year. Let's look at passer rating. Let's look at touchdowns, right? But then it's like, well, how do I weigh in rushing touchdowns and rushing yards? And, fortunately for one of my guys at the top, he was very high in rushing and passing yards, and that made it very easy to put him somewhere. But, and then it's like, well, if they're – I wasn't talking about him. But if they if you're factoring those things in, it's like, then what weight does just winning have? Like if you're putting up the best numbers but losing more than half of your games,
right?
Where's that fall?
Right, like what value is there?
So I try to weigh in. I go, okay, well, let's look going forward to this year, because you can't look at all the stats. You got guys that missed half a season, missed more than that, that are now starting again, and you kind of have to go, well, how good's he going to be? We're not sure. We're going to have to assume he's healthy and go for the best. But I started to look at it as like, well, if I was the coach of this team, like of these teams, like which one would I want playing for me? And I don't know. I feel if I had the perfect system, I could start over. I might look at it more as like I'd pick a middle of the road team, like not the Eagles or the Ravens or the
right,
but not like the Browns, and just pick like a middle of the road team. Let's call them the Texans. And I'm like, okay, who am I throwing in there? Like our quarterback's out. I can have anybody in the league.
Right. Who am I grabbing? Who?
Right. Who am I grabbing? Who's going to give me the best chance to win without knowing who's going to be playing? Or we're going to shuffle all the players. We're doing a fantasy draft like in Madden. Your first pick has to be a quarterback. Like, who you taking? And you don't know who you're going to end up else with. Like, I'm taking them blind with no team around them. That's probably the best way to look at this list, is like, who would you draft with that number 1 overall pick? And I think my top 10 for the most part is going to be the guys that would be at the top of my list if I was picking a guy.
Yeah, I think
that's going to be where I'm at.
I have a feeling that our top 10s, they're going to be mostly the same guys. Maybe
it's going to be where they fall.
Not looking at the exact 10. I think we may have the same 10 in there, and just a matter of where they fall. Mike's is very similar. I think the biggest.
Get a guy like Jalen Hurts. Sorry, you get a guy like Jalen Hurts. The last thing I was going to say is, if I'm going that draft route, he may go higher than where I have him ranked just because he's versatile. Like I may have to take.
And I think it depends on.
I don't know who I'm going to have. I might need him to run.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the team too. I mean, if you have a team that it certainly has a baked in strong offensive line, they may not even feel like they need to grab a Jalen Hurts or whatever, because they feel they can protect whoever's back there. Or if you have somebody, it's kind of the O-line's a little busted up, they may need to grab somebody that's a little bit more mobile. You're not going to look at a Dak Prescott at this portion of his career, because he isn't as mobile as he used to be, and he's got to kind of hunker down a little bit more. I think the biggest discrepancy we had out of our 16 through 11, Sean, is you had Sam Darnold in there. You had him at 13. That's where I had Jordan Love. Now you had Trevor Lawrence out. So I had Lawrence in mine. You had him out. You had Darnold in. I have Darnold down at 23 on
so
my.
You have him out.
Yeah, I have him down at 23.
Like I was going to be way higher on Darnold than anyone else.
And here's the thing. Darnold had a fantastic year last year, and if if the cookies shook out a little bit different and the Vikings decide to go, hey, we're going to run with Darnold, we're going to move J.J. McCarthy, I would have Darnold probably in my top 16 based on what he did a year ago in Minnesota. I don't think that the landscape in Seattle is as favorable to a successful year for Sam Darnold. You have less weapons. DK Metcalf isn't there anymore. You have much different coaching staff. Now I think you have a little bit of an easier division. So that may help him a little bit. But yeah, the funny thing is I actually have Sam Darnold 2 below the guy who's gonna take back his starting position in Minnesota and JJ McCarthy. Just again because McCarthy really kind of has, I think, a better roster around him. So I think that was the only really big discrepancy. Again, a couple spots.
Well, and that was the hard part. You're asking me to rank the quarterbacks, not necessarily their situations. So there are guys that I think are in great situations that I don't have. I have guys that are below other guys that are probably going to outperform guys that are higher on my list.
Right.
If that made any sense. I feel like I was all jumbling my words up. But like guys that are down around 4 or 5 may outperform my 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah. Like
in numbers because of their situations. You know what I mean? And that's not what I was asked to do. I was so I was trying to use the situation some, but at the same time, be like, well, obviously, my top guys are probably all going to be in decent situations, right?
Right.
Maybe Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback in football, but we're not going to know that for quite a while, right? Or we may know it very quickly if he's not.
I was going to say, well, he's starting this weekend for Cleveland, which I mean, I think it's a smart play. First off, you're not going to put Joe Flacco out there in the preseason.
Right. Well, and you have a banged-up Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel has a hamstring. Kenny Pickett has a hamstring.
And with Pickett banged up, sure.
Well, Shedeur reportedly had an arm thing. They signed Tyler Huntley yesterday just to get more quarterbacks in the room. So already quarterback trouble. And so, shockingly enough, Deshaun Watson had nothing to do with it this time.
And my list, with Sam Darnold, I just felt like his situation, and I don't have JJ very high. I've never seen, I played at Michigan. That was 2 years ago. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We have a full year of downtime. We got some recovery, and even some of the younger guys, the Bryce Youngs, the Michael Penix's, I want to believe in them, and I think guys like Penix are going to put up great numbers. And if you're a fantasy manager, by all means, reach for Penix because I think, 1, they're going to throw a lot, and 2, it's a pretty good situation. Plays a lot of games indoors. I feel like it's beneficial to have him. But I like Darnold. I think Darnold showed us that, hey, I actually am good. And we know that if he's in a good situation, he's quite good. I mean, he led a team to, 14 wins?
Sure did, yeah.
So, I mean, you can't argue with that. And while Seattle might not be as good, I don't think it's a dire situation. I think there's, it'd probably be helpful if they had kept their best receiver for him. But that is what it is. And you have a very young Jackson Smith and Jigba, and you have some weapons at tight end. And while it's not what he was used to, it's certainly no Justin Jefferson. I think Sam Darnold's going to show us, look, as long as it's not the goddamn Jets,
right?
I'll put some numbers up for you. And,
The goddamn Jets.
Do I think they're definitely going to be in the top half of the league, numbers-wise and performance-wise? I don't know. But I feel like based on who's below him on my list, there's a good chance it's somewhere close by.
All right, let's move on to the next batch. We'll go 10 through 6. So we'll do the next grouping of 5 here. Mike has Brock Purdy at 10, C.J. Stroud of the Texans at 9, Justin Herbert of the Chargers at 8, Matt Stafford of the Rams at 7, and Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders at 6. For me, I have Jared Goff of my Lions at 10, C.J. Stroud of the Texans at 9, Jaden Daniels, Commanders at 8, Jim Harbaugh's favorite quarterback, Justin Herbert at 7, and Matthew Stafford of the Rams at 6.
All right. Okay, let's roll with this. I have at 10 C.J. Stroud of the Houston Texans. At 9, Justin Herbert. 8, probably the guy who was hurt most by his age on this list, just including the ones that was Matt Stafford coming in at number 8. The complete opposite situation, Jaden Daniels at number 7. And at number 6, my man did not quite get into the top 5 for me. I struggled with this so hard. But Jalen Hurts comes in at number 6 on my list.
Okay, yeah. I think
Did
for
Mike
me,
have Hurts in this section, or did I hear that he wasn't mentioned yet on Mike's?
Mike did not have him. I did not have Jalen Hurts.
Okay, so the Eagles fan of the 3 has Hurts lower than.
So the question is, do we have him in our top 5? Do we have him in our top 5, or we did not have him in at all?
Or we Cam Newton'd him.
Or yeah, we'll find out. You got to stay tuned for that one. I did give a work colleague of mine who is a big Eagles fan, who listens to the show. I gave him a little heads up, and I said we're counting down the quarterbacks, and I said you may be surprised where I have Jalen Hurts, and he goes, "Is that good or bad?" And I go, "Well, I guess you're gonna have to listen." But so out of the 3 lists that we were given, I think the most surprising or the biggest difference.
I want to swap Hurts in my 5 so bad.
From any of us is Mike had Brock Purdy in his top 10. You and I think, both had him outside of our top 16.
I have Purdy just out.
Yeah, same with me. Now, granted, here's the deal. Like Brock Purdy, we have seen him perform very well, very efficient. I don't think he's ever going to be the Tom Brady, throw the, Joe Montana, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's not going to be the guy that's going to be like, I'm picking up this team, I'm carrying them on my back, and I'm dragging them to victory, whether they want to do it or not. But we've seen him be very efficient. We've seen him be a very good quality quarterback. Now over the last, year or so, we've seen some injuries tick up, both to him and the team around him. Production's kind of slidden off. The record wise is slidden off. Now, you're in a post Debo world. It's you still have your favorite tight end. There's still weapons there, but we're gonna find out a lot about Brock Purdy. So I'm not saying that he can't potentially operate as a quality quarterback this year, but when I just look at the landscape and I look at everybody else around, I'm like, maybe. And I hate to use the Mr. Irrelevant thing against him, but maybe we're starting to find out why he ended up being Mr. Irrelevant in the draft. And I say these things respectful. I'm wearing, the jersey of the guy who, in my opinion, is the greatest Cowboys quarterback of all time. He went undrafted out of Eastern Illinois. So being that late draft or post draft signing isn't necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes there's also a reason for it. But yeah, I think similar ideas. Matt Stafford, I put him up here. Now I'm already maybe questioning it a little bit because there's already some reports that he's a little bit banged up, and we're only in the first week of camp, so maybe Father Time, who's undefeated, is coming around to Rams camp a little early this year, but we'll find out. Everybody had the thoughts about Stafford and his dead arm last year, and he ended up being pretty damn good. So, yeah, I think again we're kind of in that same pocket. I just now
I can't do it. Can we just change my list? We're going to formally swap 5 and 6, so you're going to get a sneak peek of my top 5, and Jalen Hurts is in there. I can't everything we just.
No, wait. Let me guess. It's 6 at 5. You had Jared, because I don't think you mentioned Goff yet. Did you have Goff?
I have not mentioned Goff.
Was he your 5?
No.
Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting.
So at number 6 on my list, because everything we said about factoring winning and factoring situations and factoring in numbers and factoring in everything that I like and who I would pick to run my team. Going into this year, I'm going to take Jalen Hurts over my number 5, and my number 5 was Patrick Mahomes.
Wow.
Patrick Mahomes is the 6. And I debated 5 and 6 so long, and I kept going, well, Jalen's a winner. And I'm like, well, I guess so has been. But in my head, I keep bringing in the words has been, and I refuse. I feel like Jalen, like numbers wise or not, yards wise or not, I think Jalen outplayed Pat Mahomes last year, obviously in the Super Bowl, but also throughout the season.
I was going to say,
and more importantly, I think not that Patrick Mahomes is not a good leader. I would never say that. Obviously, that team rallies around him. That team gets excited when he's a very good. And the difference between 5 and 6 in the grand scheme of things is not that big of a deal,
right?
Other than the fact that human beings like the top 5 because of a number of
sure.
So, but I just think going into this year, if I was going to pick one for I don't know who the rest of my team is. I'm going to take Jalen Hurts over Pat Mahomes. So I'm going to switch.
I mean, yeah, it's one game, it's one moment in time, but the last time we saw each of those guys, one looked a hell of a lot better than the other one did.
It's true.
Now, granted, I think some of that, but to me, when I'm building a list, part of that goes into it.
Right.
Is the team around Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Well, neither of them are in exactly a terrible situation.
Oh, no.
like there's guys up here that are in way worse situations than those two guys. So yeah, it's sneak peek, everybody. You got a sneak peek at Sean's top 5, but it's going to be Jalen Hurts, just so you know.
There you go. Now we know. Now we know the at least the start of the next round.
Behind me, I had to jump you, Jalen. Jalen, I'm sorry, man. He's a big listener of our show.
He's getting those listens in at camp, which we do appreciate that, by the way. So and I'm looking at the list, and I think in this group it's an interesting group of 5 for me because Stafford, it's your kind of last chance, your kind of last opportunity, last run at it. Justin Herbert, now granted, I don't think Jim Harbaugh is in a spot where he's going to be like, if Justin Herbert doesn't perform well and we don't win a Super Bowl, he's out. Because, man, Jim Harbaugh, go to the Chargers Instagram feed. Jim Harbaugh loves Justin Herbert. I don't know if there's ever been a coach that has loved his quarterback more than Jim Harbaugh loves Justin Herbert.
It's insane. He looks at him with googly eyes.
He does. He just there's the tarp drill where they have like the scaffolding with
when Herbert walks past Harbaugh and the coaches at practice, Harbaugh giggles and whispers to the other coach.
He does. There's a drill they do. I think it's actually a really smart drill. It's a timing drill where they put a scaffolding thing like with a curtain. So when the receiver disappears behind the curtain, the quarterback throws and it's timing. You'll catch him on the other side. But there was this clip that they posted of Harbaugh's behind the tarp and just like peeking out, staring at Justin Herbert. It's the greatest thing ever. But like he's kind of in this spot of like, man, everybody tells us every year that this guy's extremely, and I think he is extremely talented, but the Chargers for years just were set up for failure with bad coaching.
There's something missing.
And like, and now, like last year, we kind of saw him come around quite a bit, and you have have Ladd McConkey, and you've kind of retooled the offense and the mindset of the team. But now it kind of feels like, man, all right, now you've had a year baked in there. Let's see you go. And then you Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud. These are two young guys that, Stroud had a little bit of a fallback last year, still got to the postseason. Jaden Daniels, great. I mean, arguably one of the best rookie seasons in NFL history as a quarterback. Can you do it again? Or are you going to have the sophomore slump? That's kind of the question with him. And then Jared Goff is just like, man, we've just seen you be this consistent guy. But now it seems weird for like Lions fans to be punchy, but it's like, can you get us to that next level? Like Lions fans, I'm sure I'm sure they are happy to be successful, but it's also in the same time, it's like, let's see if we can go. So it's
like before we fall off this mountain, let's do
right. We know this is going to turn at some point.
Yeah, and I think, and I think some of that is kind of where Herbert is. Like the Chargers have never been completely out of the ranks of success, but obviously there was kind of a collapse of Phillip Rivers, and Phillip Rivers finds himself with a new home, and they're building this up behind, and they have all these weapons with him, and now some of those weapons are disappearing, and you're asking newer guys to step in, and can your number 2 receiver catch a football? Can he not catch a football? We found this tight end. Let's let him go. It's just a lot of situations. We can't seem to land on who our running back is. Now we might have, but maybe we're just going to be a committee of like 4 guys.
Right.
So there's a lot of that means that we have complete faith in Justin Herbert because we're going to change the pieces around him and we're going to try to make the team better around him. But ultimately he's the guy. But I just feel when I've watched Justin Herbert, all I hear is how great the arm is and how great the decision-making is. And I don't know that I've seen the great decision-making. I mean, I've seen it, but not for a full game. I feel like almost every week something goes wrong and they're having to either snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat or the opposite is happening. And it hasn't been a smooth road to success. And whether Harbaugh falls out of love with them or not, I think the farther we go without that next step, the media and the fans and the fantasy maybe not the fantasy managers, if they keep throwing up numbers, they're going to.
Yeah, I was going to say, fantasy-wise, I think he's still pretty damn good.
The belief is going to start to fall off too, and you're going to find yourself in a realm with, kind of maybe the Baker Mayfield's in that 11 to 16 range. You may find yourself down there, where you have a Mayfield that's performing at probably the best he ever has, but still hasn't really jumped to elite status. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's where Herbert's headed. Hopefully for his sake.
Hopefully
not
for Chargers fans' sake.
Hard.
For people who
names
don't,
above him are pretty hard ones to do. Good news for him. Matt Stafford's right above him on my list, and he's not going to be around very long. So
he is not.
Even if you hold and nobody jumps you,
he should
bound
be
to move up.
Should be bound to move up. All right. Well, let's move to the top 5. Mike has Jalen Hurts at 5, so he did not Cam Newton him. He has Mahomes at 4, Joe Burrow at 3, Lamar Jackson at 2, and Josh Allen at 1. I also did not Cam Newton Jalen Hurts. He is my number 5. Burrow at 4, Mahomes 3, Jackson 2, and Josh Allen is 1.
Okay, well, I guess now for something completely different. I, of course, have Jalen Hurts at number 5. Number 4, Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. 3, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. At 2, Lamar Jackson, MVP extraordinaire, but playoff novice. And at number 1, the guy that no matter what the record has been, no matter what the injury status has been, no matter the contracts of his wide receivers, has just, in my opinion, progressed, not even just each year, almost with each throw, to a point where I feel like he's playing the best he's played his whole career. And it's just situations beyond his control that have cost him a shot at another Super Bowl run, and that's Joe Burrow. I feel like right now, I don't know that anyone, you can make the Lamar Jackson argument because of the dual threat, but Joe Burrow isn't slow.
Mm-mm.
Joe Burrow just doesn't need to because he's very quick behind the line of scrimmage. He makes magic happen, almost like no look throws. And man, the secret part of it that nobody counts in these lists is almost like what's he like on the mic, and he's not great on the mic, but people love him. People want to be him. People, all these guys obviously you do, but yeah, Joe Burrow to me is the apex of the position right now.
Yeah, and here's the thing, man. I don't hate it. I really don't. Because when I said earlier, when I'm looking at this, it's kind of the same mindset of when we're building these power rankings during the season. Is who the top 3 or 4 are. It's just where are they going to shake out. And for me, the top 4 are not Alan Jackson. He's a country singer. Allen, Jackson, Mahomes, and Burrow. And I know Lamar Jackson's had his share of some injury troubles as well. But Joe Burrow, I keep going back to maybe because I also just recently watched first couple episodes of the quarterback documentary, and it goes back to his hand injury, and he's struggled to get healthy, and when you're struggling to get healthy and you're behind a bad, or not great offensive line, and defense, your defense, has questions with holdouts and management issues. And again, it's not taking away the talent of Joe Burrow. It's the structure around him that has been the problem.
Sure.
I just had a hard time cracking him into the 4. He could very easily, above the 4. He could very easily get to number 1. He could very easily outperform. He stays healthy all year, and that team starts to click. He could very easily outperform Mahomes and Jackson and Allen, and those guys could slip down. The question is,
you think some of that is are you? Because he was healthy pretty much, at the end of the year, and working his way through a playoff run, and arguably in the last month of the season, despite defensive struggle. The Bengals were on a hot streak, and
they were the most dangerous team.
It took one of the most public laydowns I've ever seen to keep them officially out of the playoffs, and I don't know. I can understand why. Like, if you're candid, oh man, how could they do that? I wouldn't have wanted to play them.
Yeah.
Especially when you watch what an offense and an offensive, the Chiefs.
Here's the thing, man. Because if they get in and if they crack in and they get that 7 spot, and it's them versus Buffalo. Like, I know Buffalo steamrolled Denver. You're not steamrolling the Bengals. Like,
no, because you may score against that defense, but to be honest, against offenses of that caliber, Buffalo's defense had not stacked up that well all year.
No,
I think Burrow would have thrown all over them.
Right. So then, the 7 seed Cincinnati, they move on, right? Like, they move on. They catch the Chiefs in Arrowhead in week 2. Remember, the Chiefs only beat Houston by 9. Like, it's not like the Chiefs dominated the Texans. They may struggle to win that game, and then you would have had the Baltimore and Texans matchup. I think Baltimore probably wins that one. You get Burrow and the Bengals possibly against the Ravens in the AFC title game. That's a whole different scenario than Kansas City versus Buffalo in Arrowhead, and then who knows what would have happened in the Super Bowl. So,
well, and what baffled me last year was just like, because I was looking at the numbers, and I was looking and I understand Lamar Jackson has the rushing yards to go with it, and that's very commendable, and it's one of the reasons he's sitting at 2 and not Josh Allen. But like, Joe Burrow was so far ahead of everyone else in pretty much it. And I know, like, when you go, well, he had 43 touchdowns and second place was 41, which, by the way, Baker Mayfield was tied for second in total touchdowns.
Baker Mayfield was very good last year. He had a very good last year.
And it was a year with some injuries to his wide receivers as well.
A lot of injuries to his wide receivers.
But Joe Burrow also finished, 80 yards shy of 5,000.
Yeah.
And you go to second place, and it's Jared Goff at 4,600. That's a full game of passing difference, and it's just like, and like you said, mediocre offensive line play, a lot of drop passes, situations like that, and in the midst of all of it, Joe Burrow completed over 70% of his passes. One of only 3 guys to do that.
Yeah.
In the league. Also, Mayfield and Goff were the other two.
Yeah,
so.
and those 2 guys, Goff especially, one of the most efficient guys really in
well, and you don't got to tell me I have him sitting at 4. And if you'd told me he was going to be in my top 5 with Hurts ahead of time before making this list, I would have assumed I had Hurts at 4.
I have Goff at 10. Like, I feel like it's a little high, but again, it was how you shape the roster is different than.
Man, I was digging into 3 years ago.
I love me some Jared Goff, man.
The numbers are there, man. It's constant efficiency. It's the completion percentage. It's the lack of mistakes. Like, this year, he had a handful of picks, but you got to remember he had 12, but 6 of them came in a game.
I was going to say he had that one game where it all blows up. He had one game last year where he had a perfect completion percentage. He didn't throw an incompletion the entire game.
Not a one. I feel like he's having fun with it. I feel he's incredibly underrated, and I wanted to make sure that.
And I think he's perfect for that team in that city.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a small love affair with Jared Goff. Maybe there's a little bit of that Justin Herbert magic in Harbaugh's eyes. Maybe that's Jared Goff in my eyes.
Maybe. Dan Campbell loves him, dude.
But I don't think, like, people are like, oh, Amon-Ra and Gibbs and Montgomery. And yeah, I mean, it's a great package. It really is. But even through like the dying defense and like the collapse of, the year before, like, we can't stay healthy. Goff did. And he's, when all that was going on and you went without Montgomery for a couple weeks and somebody had to get, a lot of Gibbs' success is in the passing game, and a lot of that has to do with Goff. He makes great decisions at the line of scrimmage. It's not Peyton Manning great, but compared to a lot of the guys on this list, I think he's one of the best at it, at maneuvering guys and making audibles and reading coverages. I think he works hard, and it shows.
Yeah.
So I wanted to reward him.
And here's the deal. In that playoff loss, the Lions scored 31 points. Okay. Yeah. There was only Buffalo against Denver, Houston against the Chargers, Washington against Detroit, Philly against Washington, Philly against KC, and KC against Buffalo. So there was only 4 or 5 other teams who even scored 30 or more in the postseason last year. So like the Lions, the offense worked. It was your busted-ass defense that gave up 45 points to Washington.
Yep.
Like, Washington showed up, man. Nobody was giving them the credit. They showed up.
And that was the Buffalo saga, too.
Right.
It was this bad QB sneak measurement, and it was this, play call. It had nothing to do with any single penalty or any single play. The point is, your defense played against a team that hadn't scored more than, 20 points all year and had their highest point output against you in the playoffs.
Right.
And you're supposed to be this predominantly defensive area. We're getting a little off track talking teams here, but the point is you're not going to hang that loss on Josh Allen.
No. Because
it was on Sean McDermott in the defense. And you're not going to hang that Detroit Lions loss on Jared Goff.
No.
Because he wasn't playing linebacker. Of course, maybe he should have.
Well, yeah, Cowboys fans still blame Tony Romo for the loss to Peyton Manning and the Broncos years ago when Romo and the Cowboys offense put up 51 points, the defense gave up 55. Like what else? But Romo threw the interception on the that led to the Broncos getting the score to win the game. So of course it was his fault. But yeah, going back to Burrow though, and I'm doing this because again I have him at 4, and very easily could have been 3, 2, or 1. It was I think probably 3 or 2. I think Josh Allen was pretty much cooked into my number 1 spot. But looking at last year, some people that may talk Burrow down out of that spot might say, well, these were the wins for the Bengals: Panthers, Giants, Browns, Raiders, Cowboys, Titans, Browns, Broncos, Steelers. Not exactly murderer's row. Your losses: Patriots, Chiefs, Commanders, Ravens, Eagles, Ravens, Chargers, Steelers. So, you're going to make that argument. Well, the tough teams they lost to, but again, even in those,
I don't think they got smoked by a lot of those teams.
No, in those losses,
they were fighting to the fourth on pretty much every one of them, and
yeah, your losses now. Week 1, the loss to the Patriots is
one
fluky.
Was on a missed field goal.
Chiefs they lost by 1. Commanders they lost by 5. Ravens they lost in overtime by 3. The Eagles was a 20-point loss.
Ravens they had a chance to win that Ravens game in regulation.
Yeah, Ravens they lost again by 1. Chargers by 7 and Steelers by 6. So yeah, all of your losses were your 8 losses were by a combined 22 points or something like that. Not really a whole lot of blowouts there, but yeah, again, it's that top 4 grouping, and for me, and I because I do want to touch on Jalen Hurts at 5. We all had him at 5. I go back to a list that I saw a friend of mine comment on Twitter back in I want to say it was probably June or late June or early July. And it was a Yahoo Sports writer that had put together a top 10. I don't have the whole thing pulled up in front of me, but he didn't have Hurts in his top 10. He had, I think he had Dak at 6, Geno Smith at 7, Stafford at 8, I think Stroud at 9.
What year was this list made?
And Jordan Love was 10. This was this year allegedly. And because the thing that got me to react was because my buddy goes, "Wait a minute, you have Prescott above Jalen Hurts," and I go, "Look, I understand why you said that." And you know, when I look at the two guys, like I see at least some of young Dak Prescott in Jalen Hurts, like mobile, able to move the ball around, able to get creative and do things. So I said, like, if I'm an Eagles fan, I am more upset that A, Jalen Hurts isn't even in the top 10, and B, that Geno Smith and Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud are all above Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
it's not even as much Prescott. Like, I know you had Prescott lower than mine, but when I look at it and I go, look, here's
Stroud and Love, like, what have they done?
Right, and like that's the thing is, like, I'm like, look, like, yes, are C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love going to do things that look flashier than Jalen Hurts? Yeah, probably. But when it comes down to it, like, and again, people are going to bring up this, well, he didn't throw for 3,000 yards. But how many yards did he rush for? Like, how many first downs did he gain? And people can make the well, he's just getting his ass pushed above the thing. Dude, that guy can deadlift a Volvo.
Well, and the other thing I tell people is that we didn't throw for 3,000 yards, and some of the kids I teach, you didn't even throw for 3,000 yards. Baker threw. I'm like, well, yeah, but when you have the offensive player of the year behind you,
right,
and he's going to start running the ball, and you find yourself ahead by 3 or 4 scores, why would you keep throwing?
Right.
You're in a situation where your defense isn't giving up any points, and you've already scored 25. You're not going to keep heaving the ball downfield. Like, you're going to play a safe game and you're going to clock manage, and you're going to kill a game like against the Steelers and run off the last 12 minutes on a single drive. You're going to do things like that because you can, because you're just toying with people with those big guys in front of you, and that's kind of what happened. And I mean, he wins. Like,
right. And that was going to be my point is like
if Jordan Love and those guys that were flashy were also winning.
Right, like, and that was going to be kind of my point too. Is like, at the end of the day, sometimes there's quarterbacks, there's players in all sports that even if you have, and I'm not saying this necessarily hurts, but if you have, this stat or this attribute that might be a little bit more limited than the guy across the line. So, Patrick Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts. Like, people are automatically going to say Patrick Mahomes better quarterback, Patrick Mahomes best of all time, and that's a debate for later. But the bottom line is, like, Jalen Hurts in his short time has been to a Super Bowl, is an offensive pass interference away from possibly 2 Super Bowl championships in his short time. So, and obviously wins one last year, and I get the defense played a big role in it as well, but the Eagles dominated the Chiefs in a way that we have not seen a team do in a long time. So,
and it wasn't just the defense stopping Mahomes. The Chiefs defense couldn't do anything.
And so some guys just kind of have that winning attribute where, if I'm looking for the flashiest quarterbacks, I'm not looking for Jalen Hurts. But if you're telling me I have 2 minutes, 2 minutes 30 seconds, and I need a score to win, Jalen Hurts is probably one of the top 3 guys that I'm like, get him the ball.
I know a game's on the line, and it's an important game.
Mahomes is one of them. So I want to make sure that if any of the other talking heads on this show or another show hear this, I'm not saying that I wouldn't put Mahomes in that top 3 group in a 2-minute warning situation.
Right.
Hurts is in that group though, because he has that factor.
Right. And I think that, there's a few guys at the top, and I would argue that Joe Burrow has that factor.
Yeah,
because
I think
he's
so.
been asked to go down and score, and he's done it. And then, like,
those would probably be my 3. Like, Lamar Jackson probably comes out of that list. Josh Allen is going to be the one that is like.
And for me, Josh Allen's going to fall below because while I think Josh Allen has all the talent in the world and is able to see things, and I know he has some comeback wins, I just feel there's been opportunities where he hasn't.
Right.
Like,
I don't think he
moments.
has the same win it factor that Jalen Hurts does.
I think Buffalo thinks he does because they keep taking anybody with talent around him away.
Sure.
Because they're like, well, Josh Allen will just win games. We'll
right.
just pay the defense. But yeah,
it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
And I was going to say, I think the one thing, and the thing that I mentioned it about Joe Burrow, and it comes into the Jalen Hurts as people go, it's this situation like, oh well, he's he has this win. I mean, he just wins. What people that watch the game don't always give credit to these quarterbacks for is how much control do they have at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Like how much of it are they sticking with the play that's called versus, and I know they all make audibles and all the quarterbacks out there are going to at some point, but in a big moment, in a big game, is the coach giving this quarterback the ability to call one of 4 plays? Is it just like, if this look's not there, you can do one other thing, audible into a run? Because some guys don't have that kind of power because the coach doesn't trust them to. And Jalen has the ability. I mean, Jalen can call one of a dozen plays at any time he wants, and Sirianni's not going to question it.
Nope. No.
Because usually it works.
Good things happen.
Yeah.
All right, Sean, as we wrap up, I mean, obviously we didn't cover. I don't know if you actually had kind of written out your full 32. I did just.
Yeah, I've got 32 here. I don't know if the bottom's in necessarily a great particular order.
Yeah, I want to look at the bottom 5. Like over the course of the season when we do our power rankings, we
considering
do
that 4 of my bottom 5 is just a team name.
Sure, right? Because there are question marks about some of these. But we always do top 10, bottom 5 on a weekly basis. So I'm going to give Mike's bottom 5 here. He has Anthony Richardson of the Colts at 28. Jackson Dart, Giants at 29. I think Russell Wilson probably going to be the week 1 starter, but that can obviously change quickly. Cam Ward of the Titans at 30 with the injury to Will Levis, the mayonnaise messiah, out for the year. He has the Browns at 31, the Saints at 32. For me, I have Russell Wilson / the Giants at 28. I have Cam Ward of the Titans at 29. I have Joe Flacco / the Browns at 30 because I think Flacco is going to be your week 1 starter. How long that lasts, we will certainly see.
And lasts as long as he does.
Sure. Anthony Richardson of the Colts at 31, and the Saints, I think Tyler Shaw or Shu or whatever the fuck the guy's name is, doesn't really matter, is going to be the week 1 and probably season starter there. The wild thing out of these is, and I know you and I and Matt know this name extremely well, Riley Leonard is apparently making a lot of noise in a good way in Indianapolis Colts camp. Apparently had a very impressive day on Sunday. He's penciled in at the 3 spot on the depth chart as they head into their first preseason games. But there's a lot of talk around Indianapolis that the leash is going to be very short for both backup quarterback Danny Dimes, but also even starting quarterback Anthony Richardson, because apparently Riley Leonard has looked very strong in camp.
And good for them. I mean, your franchise, as the trouble is, there's a lot of talent on that team, and I think defensively and offensively, there's a lot of really good things to be excited about. But when you're playing quarterback carousel with 3 guys, your franchise is in a real great place.
Right.
So that's not good for those fans or those receivers. But, if you can find the right guy and you haven't lost too many games, maybe you can push something forward and at least give some hope going forward. But very similar lists, I think. At 28, I have Russell Wilson / Jackson Dart. I have them sitting there at 28. Just above him was Cam Ward. I kept Cam Ward out of my bottom 5. And to be honest, I almost had Cam higher than a few other guys, but we'll keep him where he is. At 29, I have the goddamn Jets. The goddamn Jets.
The goddamn Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Fields is going to look like. I
have him at 27. And there's guys here that have upside. Obviously Caleb Williams has a ton. He's in my bottom 10. There's guys here that could jump. There's guys that could fall.
but I think there's too many question marks, and it's the Jets. Like, it's not a great situation if you want to be in the limelight and be in the Big Apple. It's not historically the greatest place to be, and it's not a great field to play on. So that's not going to help. So I got the Jets sitting at 29-30. I have the Colts and whoever they select in that carousel. 31, the Saints. And the Saints were interesting because when I was making my list, a part of me just kind of forgot the situation they're in, because I was like, man, I had Carr sitting somewhere in my top half, like probably right around the 14 or 15 mark, because I still think when healthy, he's better than half the league. But then I remembered he's not healthy, and then everything shattered at the bottom of my list. And then, of course, at 32, the Cleveland Browns. Mostly because, I mean, sure, maybe Flacco. If Flacco gets it, that's the right choice. I don't know how much he still has in the tank. Like, being better than the rest of those guys doesn't say a ton. Kenny Pickett's not a starting quarterback.
No, I think Pickett is going to end up getting cut, actually. I really do.
And I don't think the injury helps him either. The fact that he's banged up and not healthy and he's not going to get reps, that's not good. Like, he needed reps to have a shot at beating out Flacco. And unless he heals up, starts, out playing these guys, I think it's going to be Flacco and 2 rookies is pretty much where I'm at. I think you're going to let those rookies kind of play it out.
Yeah.
And maybe week to week bring in somebody else as an emergency QB. But yeah, I wouldn't count on Kenny Pickett.
No, I think that's a pretty good value of life. Sean, let the people know as we wrap up for this episode where they can follow you throughout the year.
All right. If you want to follow me, hit me up on the Twitter at Sean Shine State down here in the Sunshine State. And you can look for me on some various other podcast projects that I still have in the hopeful works, just trying to get life settled down here in the new apartment, get things into the new school year. So we'll keep you posted on that. But mostly just follow me on Twitter and try not to hurt yourself.
All right, very good. You can get me at Big Jim Sports on Twitter. You can follow the show, and that's the important thing, at Huddle Up Podcast on our social channels, Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Twitter. You can get our Instagram at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. You can follow our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe there. That's our primary live streaming partner each and every Tuesday throughout the football season at Huddle Up Podcast on YouTube. You get our merchandise over at tpublic.com. Subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms as well. We'd certainly appreciate that. And tell your friends as we get into football season. People love talking about it. It's certainly the most popular sport around, so we'd certainly appreciate the support as we go into yet another new year. Again, starting live shows on the 26th of August. We'll have new episodes over the next 2 weeks hitting the YouTube and podcast channel, so get prepared for those as well. Until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and as always, go for the win.